right, howdy. We're back again. So we're going to continue with looking at categorical data, specifically bar graphs and pie charts. So I grabbed a problem from the problem set that I'm going to look at here. So we have birthdays. So we're given this data that has been collected. So births are not evenly distributed across the days of the week. So we have all the days of the week here, and then we have the number of births that were done on each of those days in an entire year. So the first part of a question is to present this data in a well-labeled bar graph. So very important, when you make graphs for AP, you need to make sure, this is always going to be of critical importance, you need to make sure that you will always have your graphs labeled. The axes must be labeled. Okay, so I'm adjusting, adjusting my ruler here because I want to draw these axes in a straight line. All right. So this is where if you're doing it on OneNote, if you have a hard time kind of making it straight lines, you may want to just do this on paper. You know, whenever you're having to do stuff with graphs, do it on paper and then just kind of upload it to OneNote. I would recommend doing it that way. Kind of get into the habit. Okay, so there we go. Beautiful. Okay, so now I need to make sure that I label my axes. So on my horizontal axes is you want your categorical variables, which would be my days of the week. So I'll have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and finally Saturday. And then on the vertical axes, what we have here are the actual numbers of the births. So I'm just going to say number of births. You could decide to say maybe percentage as well, because we could just add up all these numbers and write it as a percentage. But again, I want to just make things easy for me. There's not telling me to do it any particular way. So I'm just going to go with the count. So on the vertical axis is your count. On the horizontal axis is your categorical variable. So you must label it. If you don't label it, your graph can be accurate, you will not get any points. All right, so now this is where now I would accurately have some form of a scale. We need to make sure that we scale our axes. So what I'm going to do is every fourth dot I'm going to say is based on the size of the numbers we have here, I'm going to say is 5,000. So 5,000 to 4, 10,000, 4, 15,000, and 1, 2, 4, 20,000. So I want to make sure that I scale my axes so that I can show where the numbers go. So Sunday, I see I have 7,300. So we'll kind of say like somewhere ballpark here. So that would represent Sunday. Then Monday we had 11,000. So we're going to be somewhere around here. That's Monday. Tuesday was 13,000, so we're a little bit closer. So let's say here. Wednesday, about the same amount. So it's a little bit less. So we'll roughly look about the same height. And again, when I'm drawing my bar graph, remember that those bars better be the same width. So, you know, just for brevity of our video, I'm kind of eyeballing that they're the same width, but obviously you'll take your time and kind of make sure to draw them the same width. Okay, so there, and then Thursday, about the same number again. So we see kind of like around that 13,000 mark. Now you can, in a bar graph, if you really wanted to, you could write the actual numerical count above each of the bars just so you have those numbers in your graph. It's not necessary though, because again, we're going into a visual medium. If we wanted the real numbers, we'd go back and look at the actual numbers in the table. Friday we had 12,000, so we're going to go a little bit lower. So we'll say like about here, because it's more than Monday. So I do want to make sure that the Friday is higher than the Monday. So we got that. And remember that in our bar graphs, our bars should never be touching. So that's why we want to make sure that they are not stuck next to one another. And then Saturday we have 8,400. So more than more than Sundays. I'll put it a little bit higher, but it's obviously quite lower. So there we go. So that would be my bar graph for this data. Would it also be correct to make a pie chart? So now remember what we said earlier in the other video, if you watched it, is a pie chart. Are we representing all of, in our case, our categorical variable is days. So are all the days represented in our data? So the answer is, yeah, we have all of the days listed. So it wasn't like there was one day missing or a few days missing from our data set. We have all the days here. So we could take this data and make it into a pie chart. But that would mean we would have to turn these into percentages. So I would have to figure out the total amount of births for the entire year. So which I could easily do. I can put this into my calculator. So I would total up births to then convert the counts into percentages. And then we can construct our pie chart. So we could do that. It's not asking us to do it. So this is where you want to make sure to carefully read the question, because it's very easy for us to kind of assume I got to make a graph and go into doing all that extra work, when in reality it's just asking us, would it be also correct to do a pie chart? Could I have represented the data that way? Yes. And then we explain why. So this has to accompany us anytime we give an answer, whether it's in the affirmative or in the negative. We need to make sure that we're justifying, well, why is that the case? Okay, so yes, I can make a pie chart. Why? All of the days are being represented in this data set. We're not missing any of the days. It's very easy. I would add up the total number of births, which will allow me to convert the birth counts into percentages for the week, and then I can make my pie chart and represent it that way. Boom. That is a complete answer to that question. All right. So that's us creating the bar graph. And in this case, we could say that, yes, I would be correct in making a pie chart. Now, what would have had to have happened for me to say, no, I could not make a pie chart? Well, what if our data didn't include the weekends? So if they just gave us this and they said, here it is for the entire year, boom, could I make a pie chart in that case? Well, the answer would be no, because I don't know what's happening on Saturdays and Sundays. That data is missing from the chart. So I would have to be told, hey, by the way, in this entire year, nobody was born on a Saturday or a Sunday. Women that were pregnant were literally holding it in until Monday through Friday. I would have to be told that. I could not assume, because it's not in the chart or it's not in the data that they gave me, that Saturdays and Sundays were zeros. Okay? So if we know we don't have it all there, we cannot make a pie chart.